Alderman Wilson?
Here.
Alderman Holmes? Here. Alderman Tendem?
Here.
Alderman Grover? Alderman Rainey?
Here.
Alderman Burris? Here. Alderman Fisk?
Here.
Alderman Braithwaite? Okay.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Nice try. Come here. Oh, and I'm here too.
Right there.
All right. Alderman Peter, around here where you can be on camera.
Did you call her?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Ready? All right. Hold up your right hand
Okay.
and swear after me. I, Peter Braithwaite,
I, Peter Braithwaite,
having been appointed to the office of Second Ward Alderman
having been appointed to the Second Ward Alderman
in the city of Evanston in the county of Cook aforesaid,
in the city of Evanston in the county of Cook aforesaid,
do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Second Ward Alderman
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Second Ward Alderman
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
We have one more oath that is an Evanston tradition,
Athenian oath of
the
citizenship.
Athenian Oath of Citizenship. We will ever strive for the ideal and sacred things of the city,
We will ever strive for the ideal and sacred things of the city,
both alone and with many.
both alone and with many.
We will unceasingly seek to quicken the sense of public duty.
We will unceasingly seek to quicken the sense of public duty.
We will revere and obey the city's laws,
We will revere and obey the city's laws,
and will transmit this city not less, but greater and more beautiful.
will transmit the cities not less but more beautiful than when it was transmitted to us.
You got
I
it.
just jumped in there.
Congratulations, Peter. Peter, can you wait till call of the wards, or did you want to say something now?
Well, if I'm smart, I'll wait until my wife and kids get here.
That would be,
For everyone,
Oh, thank you. A couple of things to learn. No, I was just saying I'll wait until my wife and kids
Okay.
get here, and then we can do the whole thing all over again, if that's all right with you.
And Alderman John Baptiste said he was on his way, so.
you're kidding.
No?
Oh, Lord. We have never been too early before in this city government. It's mayor's public announcements. One thing I would like to do is to thank the Second Ward. Many people reached out to me and helped me to make a very wise decision to appoint Peter Braithwaite, and I appreciate all of the people who called and who recommended him and who were very supportive and very helpful during the process. And I would like to announce that on Monday, March 7th, the City of Evanston was presented with the Super Savers Award for winning the Citizens Utility Board Energy Saver Community Challenge for 2010. During this competition, Evanston competed with other Illinois communities to see who could save the most energy and sign up the most residential customers to Cub Energy Saver, a free online service that connects to people's ComEd accounts and rewards them for being energy efficient. At the press conference last Monday, Cub Executive Director David Collada presented me with the Super Savers Award and 21,650 compact fluorescent light bulbs for winning this competition. And it was a pretty good display against the wall in the library, and it was only a third of the 21,000. The city also unveiled a new year-long competition, the Big 7 Savers Challenge, in which Evanston's top 7 employers, which include St. Francis Hospital, Rotary International, Northwestern University, North Shore University Health System, District 65, District 202, and the City of Evanston, will battle each other to see whose team can rack up the biggest power savings with Cub Energy Saver. In addition to crowning the employer that gets the most people to cut their power bills in 2011, the competition will reward top household savers with 1 year of free electricity. The whole Evanston community is encouraged to participate, even if you don't work for one of the Big 7 employers. Simply choose one team you would like to support, choose the city, and sign up at www.cubenergysaver.com/Evanston. The 21,560 CFLs will be used to help promote the Big 7 Savers Challenge and encourage even more residents to reduce their energy bill. Stay tuned for more information about sign-up events sponsored by each of the Big 7 in the coming weeks and months. And that concludes my public announcements. City Manager?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council, good evening. Mayor, if I could ask you to help with the first presentation along with our police chief, Rich Eddington, and our fire chief, Greg Clyburn.
I would be delighted.
And if I could ask representatives of the Lacani family if they could step forward. And while they're all coming up, I'll explain why Mr. Lacani and his family are here. Mr. Lacani is the owner of the Evanston Shell Station, and as many of you recall, it opened about a year ago on Oakton, and Mr. Lacani at that time made a contribution to the city's police and fire pension fund in honor of the opening of the Shell Station. Well, it has been a year. It's been a very successful year, and Mr. Lacani and his family are here to make an additional presentation to Mayor Tisdale and the chiefs. Mr. Lacani?
Thank you.
Thank you for your generosity. Thank you.
This is an extraordinary event, and I hope that it will get a lot of press because this kind of community spirit is exactly what we need in a very tough economic time. And to recognize our police and fire departments this way means that you thoroughly understand our city, and we're very, very grateful to you for your community spirit. Thank you very much. Thing to do. Thank you. All right, the Braithwaites are here now. Peter, come back. Lionel's not here? All right, sit down.
And while the mayor is sitting down, the contribution was a $5,000 contribution from the Lacanis to be the first contribution to the new Evanston Police and Fire Foundation. Next, Madam Mayor, I would like to introduce our Assistant City Manager, Marty Lyons. Earlier this evening at the Administration and Public Works Committee, we were able to recognize our snow fighters, the men and women of our Public Works, Parks, Recreation, and Forestry and Utility departments who are on the front lines during the blizzard that occurred at the beginning of February. As we let you know and we let the community know, Mr. Lyons' task was to do an after-action report to see what we did well, what we could do better in the future, and also to do a full accounting of the resources that were spent fighting this blizzard. And I think everyone's feeling very good about what we did, but we felt it was important to come back to the community and report in specific terms about our efforts. So, Mr. Lyons, thank you for your efforts in putting together this report, and good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, Madam Clerk, Mr. City Manager. This presentation is going to be fairly short and sweet. We have this PowerPoint and then also a more lengthy memo, which is a restatement of that. And I do believe that we will also be very active come next August in our pre-planning for the next snow season. So with that being said, the February 1st and 2nd was the third largest snowfall, and it created, along with the 5 inches later that week, as the snowiest February on record. And as the third bullet point shows, we had everybody, all hands on deck. We had everyone helping out, and as we go through this process and talk about lessons learned and keys to success, that'll become very evident. So how much did we spend? Well, we looked at it from a 3-year perspective, because the 3 years, a couple of things happened differently. In 08-09, we had a lot more expenses, and the expenses were much higher because that was the year of salt being incredibly expensive. We went up 2 and 3 times as much, at least on the salt per ton costs. And combined with that, we had, as we'll show later, a lot of snow events. So all of those came together where you see a $1.4 million expenditure, whereas this year's expense, we're pretty much done. I think we may have a couple of invoices left, but we are not going to breach $1 million. So we are at $927,943 for overtime, for materials, equipment, and I think it was the amount of equipment rental, that to me was an amazing one. We had so many pieces of equipment running around, almost more equipment than people in some cases. So this is the history on it. You take a look, and you see the slide a lot when we did a 10-month budget. This has nothing to do with 10-month budgets, okay? So we had 58 inches plus in 08-09, but never in that one blizzard. And we didn't quite eclipse that as of right now. And Suzette said, she said that bad 3-letter word just recently. She said, we haven't eclipsed it yet. And so I really think, I hope we're done. But in any event, you get the idea of where we're at on snowfall. But here's the one that really increased our costs. 45 snow events compared to 37. And those snow events cost us in both overtime costs, equipment rental in some cases, especially when we are hauling snow. So and I don't need to read this one off to you. It really was very well displayed in the graphics. But we have adjusted our budget since 08-09, where we realized that there was going to be higher costs overall, and salt costs have never really returned to a pre-08-09 level. So one of the things that we found, which was our key to success, was our communications. We didn't have this level of communications in the 08-09 event, and what you see here is that we had communications going on in advance, during, and afterwards for the snow event. So there were at least 6 updates during the snow event. Many of you dialed into the teleconference, both press and aldermen. I couldn't quite get Adela to give me 100 tweets. She only had 99, but we had to stick with that number. Our Facebook posts, and then the web updates 3 to 4 times a day during the event, 1 to 2 times for the next 4 days. And then the more longer term were the emails, which we monitored the suggestions for improvement and comments thereafter. This was also the first time that we rolled out the mass notification, 3 mass notifications, which really extended our reach to a lot of members in the community. We know that we'll be continuing to refine that as we learn who's getting hit and who's not, and what we can do about making sure we're hitting Evanston residents. And then we also had a star being born. Suzette Robinson did many, many videos on where we were at on the snow emergency. So I think that went over very well as far as getting the word out. So what were our complaints and also our compliments, or our requests for services? We don't staff up for a 20-inch snowfall. We just can't. So when we have these types of events, we do rely on all hands on deck and getting out as quickly as we can. What we learned as far as complaints go is that one of the things that we need to work on, I'm sorry here, just give me 1 second. Make sure I've got my right order. Was as far as, we had a lot of compliments from folks that they were very happy with the first pass plowing, but this was also a source of our complaints. The people needed to get that first pass, and a lot of that was, as noted, on the residential streets. Because of the level of snow, and the aldermen have heard this during the event itself, but because of the level of snow, we extended the period for the odd-even, the parking ban. And that created some issues as different areas of the community were better prepared to be plowed out, if you will, and to have their cars moved or ready to be moved at different times. One of the things that, and as I noted, the timing, again, that was the 4 days of plowing as opposed to the 2. And I'll reference that on lessons learned, that we're going to look at how do we go to a 4-day, how do we go to a 6-day, what would happen if we have to go for longer periods of time. One of the things we also heard clearly, not initially, I think, from folks, but that parking lot clearance was a large issue for many folks, and right behind it was sidewalk clearance. And it wasn't as much for the public areas as it was for multi-flat areas and the residentials. We also had specific issues regarding the special needs, whether it was handicapped accessibility, seniors, or special needs children. That one of the things we want to try and improve upon is our database of who is where and how we might be able to staff up our volunteers or even staff up special efforts. We hired contractors to help with sidewalk clearing and how we can get at that sooner. We also did hear priority of plowing, and that is that to stick on the streets, stick on the parking lots, stick on the sidewalks before going to parks or before going to other areas. And in some cases, when we've decided that a specific area might not be open, to recognize that and redevote resources. So if we aren't going to have a facility open, then let's not worry about plowing that lot ahead of time and get to it in more of a just-in-time. So I think those will be issues to consider the next time when we are in this situation. And this is within a little bit more than a decade, we've had this level of snowfall. So I don't think it's unwise to have that kind of plan on the books. So again, as lessons learned, I think one of the things that while we were very proud of our communications, we know we can do a better job even still on that. Some of the information can be posted ahead of time on what we've learned. We start doing our snow planning with the council in August and September, so we can start posting issues much sooner to give residents a little bit more awareness. The parking flexibility, we heard so many compliments about having the parking decks open for everyone, and one comment was get that news out even sooner so that people, the event happened on that Tuesday, Wednesday, have people moving cars on Sunday, Monday. So we will take that into account. We also did relaxed parking meter enforcement, and the cooperation with the schools was excellent. I don't think we ended up with one car towed, not as a part of this process, as a part of the schools. And as you did note in the bills list tonight, though, there were 500 cars relocated as a part of the whole process. So I think the cooperation with the schools was excellent on the whole. As we noted before, when we go to the parking bans and even our treatment to arterials versus side streets, is that we need to start looking at a more tiered approach. So a normal snowfall, and this really should say, I had it adjusted at one point, what we want to look at is 6 to 8 inches, and then snowfalls of over 14 inches is our highest one. And Suzette gave me that. I apologize for that not being in there, but we would consider a normal snowfall up to that 6 to 8 inches, and then over 8 inches to 14, and then over 14 inches. So, and the reason to do that again is our resources. While we still have the same number of people, one of the things we noted was that in some cases we had enough heavy equipment but not enough light equipment to do all of the side streets. So we'll be looking at the types of equipment that are in the snow fleet. As you know, we're one of the few that would have communities that would have plows on our recycling and refuse trucks, but to look at other options on how we can handle using all of our fleet for plowing, salting, et cetera. The one thing that we did, I think, a very good job on this time and need to continue on is the partnerships with Northwestern, the school districts, business and property owners. We had a property owner, for once undeveloped land went to our favor. We had Chicago and Maine. The property owner said, you can stack the snow as high as you'd like, and we did. So that really worked out because we didn't have a spot down in that area. So the whole area of Chicago was really benefited by being able to put the snow there. Community and economic development. Some of the folks in that department hadn't worked in snow before, and they were critical on a lot of getting our contractors out to do the areas where we would have had complaints about access and our multi-flats. So that worked out great for us, getting them involved. The utilization of vendors, you saw that. We've been doing that for a while in our snow command, so that wasn't really anything new. But we certainly made sure one of the things that Suzette did an excellent job with was getting our hands on those contractors first. We were out of the gate early, getting all of the haulers lined up before they were taken by other users. The priorities and consistency, residential side street plowing, the smaller equipment, as I referenced before, that we need to figure that part out. And part of that might be retasking, that our smaller equipment quite often is on parking lots and parks, and if we get to a certain level of snowfall, that we might retask folks to those side streets where the smaller equipment can be used for those first passes, as well as a lot of the alley work that ended up being done. So we will look at that as far as how we can both keep our centers accessible and work on the side streets. The last thing I'd say on lessons learned, look at what other communities have done. Naturally, you'll get that comment of, I got here and our streets were better than any other, or vice versa. So I think that we've been working a lot more with other communities. I think it was the crack ceiling bid tonight was an inter-community purchase. So we need to keep on working on those where we would say how we can share resources or how their operations have changed, how they were successful. And not everyone does the same snow operation. We don't plow all of the sidewalks like some communities. This time we did plow alleys, and that was a one-time situation, but we can learn from each other's operations. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, Peter, let's try this again.
Marty, can you get the light in the back? But we didn't do.
Would the judge and the Braithwaites please come up?
You bring the robe? What the heck?
You doing? Yeah.
What now? Come on now. You can borrow Liz's gavel.
Hey, guys.
Hello. How you guys doing?
All right, Peter,
Okay.
we're going to do this again.
All
Raise
right.
your right hand. They're going to see the whole thing. I, Peter Braithwaite,
I, Peter Braithwaite,
having been appointed to the office of Second Ward Alderman
having been appointed to the office of the Second Ward Alderman
in the city of Evanston in the county of Cook aforesaid,
in the city of Evanston and in the county of Cook aforesaid,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Second Ward Alderman
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of Second Ward Alderman
to the best of my
to the
abilities.
best of my abilities.
Congratulations. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for
Okay, now you're here for the big part. We're going to see if the vote goes his way. I think I'm done now.
Smiling bigger and bigger.
Sorry.
Would someone like to make a motion for resolution? Thank you. Alderman Holmes?
I would move resolution 20-R-11, appointing Peter Braithwaite as Alderman of the Second Ward.
Alderman Rainey, did you have a second?
I was going to second that.
All right. City Clerk, I believe you have to call the roll on this.
Alderman Wilson?
Aye.
Alderman Holmes?
Aye.
Alderman Kendall?
Aye.
Alderman Grover? Aye. Alderman Rainey?
Aye.
Alderman Burris?
Aye.
There's no Grover. Alderman Fisk?
Aye.
She would have voted that way.
Alderman Braithwaite?
Well, he can't vote.
Well,
Alderman Nguyen.
Alderman Nguyen. Aye.
Perfect. All right, 7-0. The ayes have it. Congratulations, Peter. City Manager?
Can I thank my wife and send her home?
Yes, you can thank your wife.
Okay.
Otherwise, she has to stay to the end of
That's
the
right,
meeting.
that's right, and the kids have, what is it? ASATs tomorrow. Ooh. Just to all my friends and family that are here, I just want to say thank you very much. It's a huge blessing and a tremendous honor to be able to sit here before you tonight and serve my ward and also the city of Evanston. To Mayor Tisdall, thank you very much for the appointment. And to Lionel, if he hasn't less, thank you for bestowing your trust. And I'll do my best to execute the responsibilities of Second Ward Alderman. To the wonderful council members who I've received a phone call from everyone, I just want to say thank you so much for making me feel welcome and a part of the family, even in, with just a couple of days under my belt. And where's the city manager and his staff? Thank you for helping me with the transition. I don't want to leave anyone out. Special thank you to my wife, Claudia, right there, who sticks with me through every single journey. You are my rock, and if I could steal some words from Lionel, a slice of heaven, even when you give me hell. Did I do right? And also to my friends, families, and classmates for all the warm wishes. Truly appreciate it, and I wish I could go through and name you all. I'm looking forward to the journey ahead. I approach it with an open mind, with 2 ears open and just one mouth to speak from. And again, just thank you. In the next couple of weeks, of course, I'm looking forward to getting to know the residents, working very closely with the businesses and getting up to date as quickly as possible. So thank you all very much for coming out tonight, and for my friends and family and the kids, you all can feel free to go home now. Thank you.
City Manager?
Yes,
Back to you.
Madam Mayor, before our last presentation, just a word regarding Alderman Grover. Alderman Grover is in Washington, D.C. this evening attending the winter meeting of the National League of Cities. She indicated that she would be watching on the internet, the proceedings, so if she had anything to contribute, she would send a text message. So we'll see if we hear from Alderman Grover. The last presentation is from our Health Director, Evanston Thomas, talking about a smoking cessation initiative that we have scheduled for the 23rd of March.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members, Acting City Clerk, and City Manager. I'm Evanston Thomas, and I'm going to talk to you about the Evanston Health Department's National Kick Butts Day. The Evanston Health Department would like to announce that Wednesday, March 23rd, is Kick Butts Day. It's a nationally recognized day of action. We're asking for your help and all of you to help get the word out. Outside of these chambers is a large pledge board with a few signatures, and I'm calling upon those in attendance tonight and those who are watching at home to pledge to 1, quit smoking, 2, never start smoking, or 3, talk to a smoker about quitting. There are a number of boards like the one outside our city chambers tonight, located at the Evanston Library, North Shore University Health Systems, St. Francis Hospital, the YMCA, and the Lorraine Morton Civic Center in the Health Department. You can also make your pledge online by emailing health@cityoфevanston.org. We will put your pledge on the board for you. Those pledging will be given a bag, such as this, that says Evanston Kicks Butts Day. And in the bag is a stress ball to help you on your journey, a journal to capture the essence of your journey, and most importantly, the number for the Illinois Quit, 1-866-QUIT-YES. All funding for this project came from the Illinois Department of Public Health Tobacco-Free Communities Grant. In addition to the pledge boards, staff of the City of Evanston have been giving us their stories about how tobacco has affected their lives. So you may see silhouettes of these stories throughout the city and at some of the locations I just mentioned earlier. The Health Department staff has been working with the Evanston Community Television Network, the YMCA, Fleetwood Jourdain to help youth get the message out as well. So the following is a 1-minute public service announcement about smoking by Evanston's youth. We'd like to thank the Evanston Community Television Network for the production of this video.
Don't be one of them. Let's go, Coach. What are you doing? Stretching. I smoked before my races. You should try it. Ew, that's bad for you. No, it helps. I don't think so. Swimmers, take your mark. Go! Every day, an estimated 3,000 teens have their first cigarette.
About 20% of American teens smoke.
About 460,000 people die of secondhand smoke every year.
Hey, buddy, you want a cigarette?
Just say no. No. No.
No!
And with that, Madam Mayor, members of the council, that concludes our presentations for this evening.
Thank you. City Clerk, do you have communications?
Nothing today.
All right, for citizen comment, we have 3 speakers. First is Kevin O'Connor. Please give your name and address. Padma Rayo. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. And Junad, it's the worst handwriting I've seen from you, Junad. This is... And Junad Risky.
Supposed to be this way? Who knows, huh? Okay. Okay, that's good. Good evening, Kevin O'Connor, 1227 and a half Isabella. I want to speak about a few agenda items specifically and then in general terms. Agenda item A 4.2, increasing the police firing range cost from $180,580 to $265,161.41. That's an additional $84,581. Agenda item A8, alley paving for Brummel Street. It has been the city, I quote from the agenda, it has been the city's practice to fund the share of public agencies. This results in a $14,787.57 cost to the taxpayers when taxpayers already pay taxes to fund the CTA. I am a little confused. Is this double or triple taxation? Agenda items 01 through 05, facade improvements. These are amounts totaling $41,450 to 5 private businesses from the Economic Development Fund and TIFs. The city manager's contingency fund, I recently was made aware, was increased from $311,000 to $400,000. It's an increase of $89,000. The grand total is $229,818.57. You know, it's interesting, when we went through the budget last time, we were told the city was broke. There appears to be plenty of money. However, I'm not sure that these should be our priorities. I would remind this council, I spoke at your last meeting, $57,000 was needed to keep open a South Branch. This council did not fund the library for the last budget. I read in the Tribune this week that Bolingbrook opened a new library. However, in Evanston, we're closing libraries. Our streets are crumbling. We're seeing increases in taxes. We're seeing increases in fees and fines. We're being nickeled and dimed to death. Somehow, it's just not getting through, and I heard the mayor mention in another context tough economic times, and I heard our new alderman, congratulations, mention an open mind. If these are going to be solved, we have to have an honest discussion. And it seems to me that the senior aldermen are responsible for how we got here. The junior aldermen all ran on a campaign of economic reform. I'm not seeing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here, we'll pass it down when you start talking. Make life easier for you.
Good evening. My name is Padma Rao. I live at 2246 Sherman Avenue, and I'm speaking regarding the Kendall property and the proposed re-subdivision there. I'm passing along a letter that I had emailed to the council members a little bit earlier today, just in case for any reason it didn't transmit properly. These are hard copies for your use. The issues that we talked about the last time still remain. The issues of transparency and public involvement in this process have not been solved, and the questions regarding tree protection, protection of over 24 trees on this property have really not been addressed to date. While looking at the council packet for this meeting, I noticed a letter from the attorney for the applicant, Attorney Friedland, addressed to Attorney Farrar, and noticed a few statements in there that probably should be addressed. First of all, there is no such thing as an as-of-right subdivision that I could find based on my research. As-of-right would mean building to whatever zoning exists. So I would think that R1 as-of-right means that the applicant can build one house on the existing lot and not have to ask for permission to do that. But for a subdivision, that's governed by a completely different part of the city code. And all subdivisions are by leave of the city council. There are conditions under which the city council is not permitted to approve a subdivision or a re-subdivision, and those are enumerated in section 413(1) of the city code. But there is no condition that compels the city council to approve a subdivision. So there is no such thing as a subdivision as of right. Tree preservation is an absolute requirement of a re-subdivision. Section 413(1) of the city code requires compliance with all applicable city ordinances, and one of those ordinances is section 617(6), which requires existing trees to be preserved in place wherever possible. The applicant has not made any argument that it is somehow impossible to protect the over 24 trees that are targeted for destruction. There has been no discussion about that. So if it's not impossible, then it is required to preserve those trees in place based on the city code. I also noticed in the letter that apparently the applicant has hired Holland and Knight to represent the applicant against the city in threatened litigation. Holland and Knight should be disqualified from representing the applicant against the city due to conflict of interest and imputed disqualification considerations. The city is and has been Holland and Knight's client. Attorney Friedland and his firm may need to be disqualified as well because of being co-counsel with Holland and Knight against the city in this matter.
Ms. Rao, you need to wrap it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The city still needs to satisfy the requirements of procedural due process by returning this matter to the committees and commissions. Closed-door meetings as proposed by the applicant are not acceptable and will not cure this problem. Please make sure that the trees remain protected so that future generations can have a connection with this beautiful city's history. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, things like this interest me a great deal. I mean, we're in tough economic times and we're spending money on bags. And we're getting light bulbs, 21,000 light bulbs. I mean, these are our taxpayer dollars being wasted, of course, for what I call useless activities. But I want to talk about something more meaty. Recently, staff added to our problems due to the underselling of the yard waste stickers by hundreds of thousands of dollars. By my estimate, the amount of stickers that were really sold probably was the realistic number. Was this screw-up due to incompetence, or was it due to misrepresentation of numbers? To justify last year's department budget and the yard waste trash flip-flop. This mess translates, in my opinion, to a 1.5% property tax increase, or it eliminates other city programs. In my opinion, this mistake, or whatever it is, would have funded the branch libraries for 2 years. And while I understand everyone talks about that, these are a point of reference people should understand. Mistakes like this have to come from somewhere in the taxpayer's pocketbook. And many of the taxpayers don't seem to quite understand that. The public needs some answers to what happened. I believe a complete accounting and audit of the Streets and Sanitation Department is in order to really by somebody independent. Tonight at AP&W, council members approved on through basically this 25% increase to yard waste stickers. Yard waste stickers, but to the trash carts. To me, this reinforces incompetence. The council showed its own really lack of competence at the last meeting by approving a recycling vehicle. And really, this was all done when we privatized everything last year. We should have really privatized everything. And I think the council really owes the public a complete analysis of this whole this department and what's going on here, not just keep on approving things, because really that just shows a lack of really fiscal responsibility is what it amounts to. because all you're doing is just approving everything the staff says. You're not analyzing it, you're not looking at it, you're just approving it. It's really quite embarrassing. And really, to close, I like a quote I just heard tonight from a council member who said, basically in regards to Swank at AP&W, I don't trust anything they do anymore. I think the quote might be applicable to what's going on here with yard waste and yard waste stickers and everything else. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes citizen comment. Alderman Rainey, could we have the consent agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First item is approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting, February 28. Administration and Public Works Committee requests the council's approval of the following items. The payroll through February 27 in the amount of $2,548,776.30. The bills of 2010-11 through March 15, $1,660,716.66. Another set of bills only of 2011 through March 15, $630,708.70. City of Evanston credit card bills through January 31 in the amount of $54,510.84. We ask your approval also of a contract award to GL Contractors for the 2011 granular material bid. They are out of Skokie, and it is in the amount of $35,850. Committee requests your approval of a contract award to G.A. Johnson & Sons for the Civic Center main entry steps project to G.A. Johnson & Son of Evanston, an Evanston contractor, in the amount of $84,330. This is for, there's a variety of projects and an allocation of $450,000 for the Civic Center, and they include the main entry staircase, which you hear here, asbestos abatement, fire pump replacement, directory signage, and life and safety improvement plan. Next, we're requesting your approval of a single-source purchase of coal patch material for cold weather street maintenance activities from Healy Asphalt LLC from Mount Prospect in the amount of $50,000. They are the only regional supplier. Next, we ask your approval for a contract in response to a request for bids through the Municipal Partnering Committee to award 2011 crack sealing contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, North Suburban Asphalt Maintenance out of Park Ridge in the amount of $50,000. This is from the General Fund Street Maintenance account. We ask your approval also to authorize the city manager to apply for the 2011 Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality CMAQ grant for the Dempster Street Signal Modernization Project and the CTA Yellow Line Infill Station, Phase 1 Environmental Study. Estimated cost of the Dempster Street Signal Modernization Project is $990,000. CMAQ grant would involve $790,000 and GEO debt of $200,000. The estimated cost of the CTA Yellow Line Infill Station Phase 1 Environmental Study is $2,130,000 and includes the CMAQ grant funding of $1,704,000 and general obligation debt of $426,000. Unfortunately, we won't receive approval until late 2011, and therefore the amounts will appear in the 2012 budget and capital plan. We ask your approval of the 2011 refuse disposal fees to SWANK, Solid Waste Agency of Northern Cook County, in the amount of $75,000 for capital costs, $780,000 for operations and maintenance, and $60,000 for recycling transfer fees. Under an intergovernmental agreement, the city is required to make certain payments to SWANK for capital operations, maintenance, and disposal costs for the collection, transportation, and disposal of municipal waste generated within the city of Evanston. For action also tonight, is your approval of change order number 1 to the yard waste contract with Groot Industries in the amount of 55 cents per stop per month for the remainder of 2011, 27 cents per stop per month for 2012, and 21 cents per month for 2013, 15 cents per stop per month for 2014, 32 cents for 2015 until October 31st. This is, the total contract amount was originally $476,370. But due to higher than anticipated total cart volume, we're recommending that a not to exceed $600,000 amount for 2011. Funding is from the Solid Waste Fund. Next, we ask your approval for change order number 1 for the Police Department firing range. Your approval is requested for $84,581.41 for the project. The change order will increase the current contract from $180,580 to $265,161.41. We ask your approval also for Resolution 17R11, recommending the City Council approve the authorization for the use of motor fuel tax funds, MFT, in the amount of $300,000 for the Dodge Avenue Street resurfacing project. The project will be funded through this motor fuel tax fund and the CIP fund in the amount of $665,000. Resolution 18R11 requires that the City Council approve the transfer of $586,886 of motor fuel tax funds for general maintenance of streets and by city forces. Next, this is for introduction, Ordinance 19011. Staff and the committee recommend your approval of this ordinance by which the City Council would authorize the paving of the, does anybody want this off? No. Authorize the paving of an alley north of Main Street, east of Gray Avenue, through the special assessment process. The city's share of $130,707.35 will be paid by the Special Assessment Fund. Next, Ordinance 20011 represents Special Assessment Alley Paving Project north of Brummel, east of Callan. This will be done through the special assessment process. The estimated total special assessment cost of paving the alley is $61,150.10. The city's share is $45,862.57. This is 75% of the total cost due to the CTA property on the north side of the proposed alley paving project. Next, that is for introduction. Also for introduction, the local liquor commissioner recommends City Council adoption of Ordinance 21011, which amends the City Code 356(y), Class Y liquor licenses to regulate wine tastings and permit sales of warm beer. The proposed ordinance will permit licensees to charge for wine tasting and sell warm beer in no more than 10% of their store. This is, as I said, for introduction and conforms to a state statute. Next, we have Planning and Development Report, Ordinance 24011. The Zoning Board of Appeals recommends the adoption, as does the Planning and Development Committee, of Ordinance. We'd like that off? Okay. Let me introduce it, and you're going to suspend the rules? Yes. Okay. All right. Let me just get this out of the way so we only have one vote. Let me start over here. This is Ordinance 24011, which grants a special use permit for the operation of a Type 2 restaurant at 1608 Emerson Street. ZBA recommends establishing a requirement that the proposed business close at 10 p.m. daily, consistent with other nearby businesses. This is for introduction, and the committee chair will address further action on this. Next, Ordinance 23011, removal of pawnbroker as an allowable use in the C1 Commercial District. Plan Commission and staff recommend approval of a zoning text amendment that would remove pawnbroker as an allowable use in the C1 commercial district and thus as an allowed use in the city of Evanston. The ordinance has been amended consistent with the direction of the Planning and Development Committee on February 28. The amended ordinance now reflects Planning and Development Committee's decision to reduce the number of pawnbroker license from 2 to 1. That's for action. Next, I'm wondering if this should be off the consent agenda?
Yes, thank you, Alderman Rainey.
And
P3 and P4 should be off.
P3 and P4. And just for the council's edification, both these items have been tabled, so there has to be a move to remove them from the table. So these items will be addressed by the committee chair and are both off the consent agenda. Okay, let's see. So next we have a report from Human Services. Human Services Committee requests your approval of the monthly township bills and medical payments for the month of February in the amount of $111,696.23. Ordinance 5011 is for introduction and amends the Public Ways Chapter 8, Trees and Shrubs, to add a Section 8, Tree Preservation. The forestry staff, I'm going to read this to you. The forestry staff recommends approval of language modifications to the proposed tree ordinance as approved by the Human Services Committee on March 7. Proposed ordinance has been revised since the January 24, 2011 City Council meeting to reflect concerns of the Public Works, Community and Economic Development, and Utilities Department directors. As I said, it's for introduction. Under other committees, this is all from the Economic Development Committee. We ask your approval for the following facade improvements. The Evanston Festival Theater, 600 Main, 50-50 cost-sharing basis, not to exceed $2,250. Next, your approval is requested for the facade improvement program at Aegea Spa, 1521 Sherman Avenue, not to exceed 50-50, also not to exceed $5,200. Next, approval of assistance for the facade program for the Varsity Theater, for the Varsity LLC, 1706-1710 Sherman Avenue, 50-50 cost sharing, not to exceed $9,500. The funding for this will be from the Washington National Tax Increment Financing District. Next is approval of assistance for the facade improvement program for Renaissance Realty and Construction, 1715 Church Street and 1703-1711 Darrow Avenue, in the amount of $16,500, which is also a cost sharing. This will be from the West Evanston Tax Increment Financing District TIF's other charges account. Approval for assistance for the facade improvement program for Stratosphere Network, 1732 Central. This is a 50-50 cost-sharing program or project not to exceed $8,000. All of those are for action. Next, we have appointments to the Lakefront Committee. Alderman Colleen Burris, Alderman Judy Fisk, Alderman Jane Grover, Alderman Melissa Wynn, Percy Berger, Marcel Eberly, Chris Ernst, and David Reynolds. The West Oakton Development Committee, and I guess I should say Alderman here, Alderman Ann Rainey, Alderman Mark Tendam, Alderman Don Wilson, Ryan Garton, Linda Gelb, Dylan Gephardt, Gail Lovinger, and Mark Metz. The Mayor's Wind Farm Committee. This is the largest committee I've ever seen. Rachel Bisnett, Thomas Carey, Tom Cushing, Jack Darren, Deanna Dwork, Joel Freeman, Kevin Glynn, Libby Hill, Victoria Hutchin, Joe Jakuski, Nathan Kipnis, Diego Klabjan, Kristen Landry, Richard Lanyon, Tim Patton, Nicolai Shuho, Tim Schwartz, pardon me?
I just appoint him, I don't
I
pronounce
know.
him, sorry.
You give me phonics here. Tim Schwartz, William Siegfried, Jeff Smith, William Wagner, Fred Wittenberg. For reappointment to the Library Board, Susan Newman, Plan Commission, Seth Freeman, Sign Review and Appeal Board, Marnie Kadish. Madam Mayor, with that, I move the consent agenda.
Been moved and seconded. City Clerk, would you call the roll for the consent agenda?
Alderman Wilson?
Aye.
Alderman Holmes? Aye. Alderman Tendom? Aye. Alderman Rainey?
Aye.
Alderman Burris? Aye. Alderman Fisk?
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite?
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen?
Aye.
Okay, 8-0.
8-0, the consent agenda passes. Alderman Holmes, you have no report, I believe. Congratulations. Alderman Rainey, Planning and Development.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor, I'd like to yield the floor to Alderman Holmes for response to P1.
I would like to move suspension of the rules for P1, ordinance 24-0-11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules, and City Clerk, are you ready to do a roll call vote? Thank you.
Alderman Wilson?
Aye.
Alderman Holmes?
Aye.
Alderman Tendom?
Aye.
Alderman Rainey?
Aye.
Alderman Burris? Aye. Alderman Fisk?
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite?
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen?
Aye.
8-0, the rules are suspended.
And I'd like to move approval of ordinance 24-0-11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no lights, City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Wilson?
Aye.
Alderman Holmes?
Aye.
Alderman Tendom?
Aye.
Alderman Rainey?
Aye.
Alderman Burris? Alderman Fisk?
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite? Alderman Nguyen?
8-0, the ordinance granting a special use for a Type 2 restaurant at 1608 Emerson Street passes.
I don't, leave it, you should just leave it.
Alderman Rainey?
All right. We have Resolution 13R11, which approves the plat of subdivision recommends the approval of plat of subdivision for 2408 Orrington Avenue, the former site of Kendall College. Madam Mayor, I move that this be removed from the table.
Thank you. It's been moved. Is there a second? Do we need a second for that?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Perhaps with this move in second, there's some additional information from the Corporation Council. If the council will allow, I'll have make a report which may impact the motion to remove from the table.
Madam Mayor, Acting Clerk, Manager Bob Quitz, and members of the council, Grant Farrar Corporation Council, you're indeed correct, Mr. City Manager. Reflective of information that was included in the packet for the council meeting, the developer, Smithfield Properties, the developer's attorney, and I have continued to have some negotiations, very energetic negotiations relative to the issues involved. Frankly, based upon some of the statements in the letter and some of the communications presented to council tonight, I think some of the information before the council touches upon matters that relate to probable litigation and are best discussed in closed session as it implicates litigation strategy of the city.
So you're suggesting we not take it off the table?
That would be my recommendation, and also I will inform the council that the developer's attorney has also indicated that they would like to meet with staff one last time, notwithstanding the letter that was issued, and quite candidly, I asked the developer's attorney to clearly articulate to the council what issues of disagreement remain so that everybody was aware of the issues.
Thank you. Would you like to withdraw your motion?
No, I don't think I have enough information. I mean, I read the letter. I think there's a dispute, and I wish that the council could know more about that dispute. I mean, it seems like the tree is no longer the issue. I mean, we've moved on.
Alderman Rainey, the 51-inch tree, the issue relative to that and whether or not that either stays within the city of right-of-way, or as the developer has indicated, that be dedicated or part of the dedication to one of the private lots, that is the main issue in contention. I believe that we've spoken to the engineering issues and dealt with some issues relative to the permeable surface of the alley. So the issue that is in contention, which is set forth in the letter, and I don't take issue with the statements made in the letter. I take issue with the viewpoints, but I don't take issue just with the statements made themselves. The tree is still the issue. And that if the tree is still the issue, they've indicated, Smithfield, the developer, and his attorney have indicated that they would file an action against the city in court. And since they have clearly articulated that, both to me and to the council through their letter, that touches upon litigation, probable litigation, and as Corporation Counsel, it's my strong recommendation that those issues are best discussed with the council in closed session pursuant to the Illinois compiled statutes and the Open Meetings Act.
It's unfortunate that happened. I thought we were very close to an agreement.
Well, and we may still.
Is there a chance that we could hear from the applicant? I mean, I just think the more information we all have, the better better off.
He's here.
I mean, I have no idea what emails were going back and forth or anything, or who was threatened with a lawsuit, and that's...
Well, if the council would permit, I'd be happy to. We don't have to touch on any issues of litigation. I'd like to talk about issues that I think we agree upon and those that we don't agree upon, and the council can make its own decision, and we'll go from there if that's acceptable.
Madam Mayor, could anybody have a problem with that?
I don't. Does anyone have any difficulty with hearing from the applicant? Let's go ahead and hear.
Thank you. My name is Steve Friedland, attorney with the law firm of Applegate and Thorne Thompson in Chicago. I represent Smithfield, the developer of the site. And I think, as Grant just indicated, we have a number of issues that we've reached agreement on. So let me just cover those. And this is not an agreement, but our intent is to subdivide the property into 19 R1 as-of-right lots. That's our desire, and to create a T alley that would serve those lots and dedicate that alley to the city. So that's our proposal. And prior to the matter going to planning and development in January, we sat down with city staff, and city staff had some requests, and that was, because Evanston doesn't have a lot of subdivision activity, how would this building of the alley work? And we said, we have no disagreement with you. We're building it, we're paying for it, and so much so we said, you don't have to give us a building permit for a single-family home on that lot until the alley's been constructed. And I drafted and worked with Grant on a public alley improvement agreement, which is intended to be adopted as part of an ordinance accepting the alley. We're absolutely behind doing that. And frankly, there really isn't a code provision in Evanston for that, but it made sense for us because that's what we intend to do. In addition, when issues with respect to the trees came up, we made it very clear that there is a value to us in retaining certain trees on the site. And there's sort of two different types of trees. There's trees that are on the private properties, there's trees that are in the public way. Those in the public way, we absolutely agreed that as part of the improvement of the alley, we would shore those trees up, just like, frankly, Smithfield did when they tore down the Kendall College site. They hired Nels Johnson Tree Service. They put fencing and other materials around those trees and protected the parkway trees. We would do that again, absolutely. And I think the materials that we've submitted, 2 trees that are in the parkway would have to come down in order to create the sight lines for the alley. So there's 26 trees in the parkway now, there would be 24 after we were done. With respect to those trees on site, we've made it clear, and I think I spoke to the council when this first made it to council a few weeks back, this is not a planned development. We do not intend to accept any condition with respect to the development of the property and with respect to the trees that are on the private property. There's no other requirement in Evanston for that with respect to other private property owners. If there was, we'd be subject to it. But we were not willing for purposes of just getting an R1 subdivision to agree to that. However, we've made it clear that it is our intent to try and save certain trees. So we have agreed we would use commercially reasonable efforts to keep those trees that made sense to us to save. And those are basically trees that are in the front yards, because there's a 27-foot setback in the R1 district. Made sense that to the extent those trees could be saved, we'll save them. And frankly, a buyer might like to have a mature tree in their yard. So I think we've agreed with respect to the issue of construction of the alley and the issue of preservation of certain trees. The issue where we've had disagreement is with respect to this oak tree, which is an old oak tree that sits currently in the middle of the alley that we intended to dedicate and build for the city. And one of the proposals that the city has given to us would be to dead end the alley at that oak tree. We have said repeatedly, and it's in my correspondence and it's other correspondence we've done to the city, we actually think that's a terrible idea. We think it's frankly probably a safety issue for people on that block in the future. Trucks and large vehicles are going to have to back down that portion of the T alley. Who knows, kids playing in the alley, who knows who's going to be in that alley. It just seems like a terrible idea. But frankly, we agreed to it because for my client, every day is very expensive. They pay taxes on the property, they pay loan on the property. They have not started marketing any of these lots until they have a subdivision because they didn't think that was appropriate. So it seemed like that would be acceptable, but the major issue of contention with respect to that tree is that the portion of what was proposed to be an alley that is not now going to be improved with an alley, it's our understanding that city staff would require that to be dedicated to the city as some sort of, I don't know what it is. And again, I mean, I don't think we want to get into the legalities of the issue, but suffice it to say, we don't understand how the city could require a dedication of land for the subdivision of property. So we're unwilling to do it. We think that that's somewhat of a taking, and we wouldn't be willing to grant the city land that is otherwise on our private property that wouldn't be used for a roadway purpose. I'm not sure what it would be used for. So that's sort of our last point. And frankly, my client this afternoon said to me he is getting more and more uncomfortable with the dead-end alley because he thinks the dead-end alley. We've had Eric Johnson from Nels Johnson come out to the site. I know that your arborist has come out and taken a look at it. I don't think we have any disagreement that the tree is in fine shape. Nels Johnson's feeling is that when development activity occurs on that block, that tree, which sits between two developable lots, as you can imagine it was an alley, so there were two lots on either side of it, when people start building on there, the likelihood that that tree will survive is negligible. His feeling is it won't survive. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Our feeling is the benefit you receive from potentially saving a tree and dead-ending an alley isn't worth the burden of sort of a dead-end alley and how you provide services to the new homeowners that are going to be on that block, all of that. So frankly, we think that's still a bad idea, but we sort of have disagreement, big number one, and maybe disagreement number two. I mean, big number one is we're not interested in dedicating land to the city of Evanston for purposes of getting an as-of-right subdivision. So I think in a nutshell, those are, that's our issue, and we're looking for some way of resolving it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to take it from the table. What's your pleasure?
I don't want to do anything that would jeopardize the city. I mean, I'll withdraw it. Okay. But I just, this is another, may I just say a few words?
Yes, go right ahead.
This is, this is going to drag out to the point where this whole thing's going to fold and we'll have this big vacant lot. I'll tell you that the people in my ward would think they died and went to heaven if somebody had a lot where they were dividing it into 19 R1 houses. My God, that's exactly what the people in that area demanded. way back when Kendall was coming down. That's exactly what they demanded. Now, that's exactly what they're getting, and every single issue that we can throw in the roadway to block this project is happening. I don't understand it. I'll say right out loud now, I have no idea why the city wants that piece of property. I don't understand, and if I could hear a rational explanation, I mean, I would grab this project right now while you can get it. He's going to save the tree and, you know, allow for a one-way alley without an outlet. I mean, that sounds ridiculous on the face of it, but if he's willing to do it, let's take it. These are going to be rich people building here. They can afford to save that tree. I don't believe Johnson, that the tree's going to die. I think it's going to live, and everybody will be happily ever after. But why do we want the property behind it on the other side that was going to be the alley if the tree got knocked down? I don't understand it. So I need to know the answer to that before I remove my motion.
Alderman Fisk?
No, I want to know from our legal staff.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't want to know from Alderman Fisk. I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. I know she's smart and has
Farrar,
several
would you
lawyers
like to-
advising her, but I want to hear from the boss here.
Alderman Rainey, members of the council, I'm not an arborist. I don't pretend to be an arborist. So the simple fact of the matter remains is I, as the legal counsel, and the law department as the legal arm of the city, our charge is to aggressively negotiate and get the best possible terms and conditions for the city across the board for every development, for every ward, for every alderman, for every project. And that is exactly what we're doing here. We're fulfilling our obligations under that charge. And having said that, Attorney Friedland and I take no issue with his characterization of the differences that remain. We're still talking about it, but quite honestly, in all candor, I can't speak to the legal issues and the underpinnings relative to our argument and their argument in open session. It's just not appropriate.
So there is an explanation for why we want the dedication of this land that has nothing to do with actual roadway alley, that you will explain it to us in executive session.
I will do my level best, Alderman.
What I would do is, I would like to move that we go into executive session so we can hear the reason. That's what I would like to do.
Is there a
But I'm
second?
just one person.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Fisk?
Are we going to act on the motion?
Well, you have your light on, so,
Tabled or not tabled?
Yeah, it's,
well, okay.
Was the motion withdrawn?
Alderman Rainey did not withdraw her motion to table.
It's a substitute motion, isn't it?
I'll withdraw it if we can go into executive session and hear the reason why.
Well, we can
I'll
cer-
withdraw it and make it again.
We can certainly vote on going into executive session.
No, I know, but, I mean, that's what I would like to see us do.
okay.
Alderman Fisk, did you want to speak before
Yeah,
I call on Alderman Wilson?
I did. Please tell me if I'm wrong, but the request to hold this over for another week was made by the developer's attorney so that they could get together and talk about this. And I think it's incumbent on us to give them, who have been in these discussions, an opportunity to go ahead and continue those discussions.
Wait,
Again,
he's asked for us to hold this over? I didn't
yes,
know
he's
that.
asked us to hold it over.
didn't
Part of
hear
the,
that.
part of the letter.
Yeah, it was in the letter.
But it's going to be 2 weeks, not going to be 1 week.
Yeah, so,
If I may, part of the reason I asked to hold it over was I had another hearing in Grays Lake this evening that I was supposed to be at, and because I wanted to have the conversation that we're having now with you, I didn't think I'd be here. But I'm here, so we would not like to hold it over. To the extent that we can resolve it, we'd like to resolve it. As I say, we just haven't, I think the issues are, I don't think there's much more to resolve. I think we've sort of indicated our position. I think the city's been clear on its position.
All right, so,
Motion to go into executive session.
no, there isn't a motion yet. Well, Alderman Wilson, do you want to read the whole?
I don't want to make a motion.
You don't want to make the motion? Okay, Alderman Rainey.
I don't really care. This is so screwed up, I don't even want to participate. I think the council, I think I think there's been a disservice done to the council by not giving us the kind of information we need in order to go forward or to cut bait. That's what I think. And I just hate feeling that way.
I mean, isn't the motion still on the floor that?
I withdrew my motion to take this off the table.
No, but I'm saying, but you asked if we could go into executive session, and we
I
seconded.
made a
Can we vote
motion.
for that? And then we go and we come back. And
But we
then-
have to vote on going into.
I know,
Is
that's
there
what
a
I'm asking.
second?
Can we do the, yeah,
Yep.
it was second by Burt.
Alderman Fisk wants to speak again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to tell everyone that this has been actually a very positive discussion that we've had with the developer and developers' attorneys. And I think we've made a huge amount of progress, and we've had very positive, very cordial discussions. There are always going to be issues that come up. This is a fairly complicated subdivision in that there was a lot of engineering approval that needed to be part of the discussion. The trees are not really what is forcing this matter right now. And I would just encourage you to give everyone, as I said, who's been working on this so diligently, an opportunity to have that discussion that was planned for this week. I just think that trying to push that here tonight when the packet was sent out to everyone, the neighbors were of the understanding that this was going to be not considered at council tonight, but what was going to be continued for 2 weeks. I think it does a disservice to everyone to suddenly say, because the developer's attorney could be here tonight, that we have to consider this tonight. So I would just encourage all of you to
I withdraw my motion
wait
to
2 more
go
weeks.
into executive session because
Thank you very much.
I no longer care if this thing ever gets voted. But if you think positive in any way equates to our attorney telling us we're about to get sued, then you and I have a very different definition of positive.
Sorry, the motion has been withdrawn. So this is being held, remains tabled. All right, got it. Alderman Rainey,
What?
do we have?
Do I have more?
We have more.
Huh?
Is that table to a date certain for the next?
Oh, we did the restaurant, we did
We did everything.
P3
As far as I
and
can see,
P4.
the two ordinances just stay tabled.
Okay,
So
so
they-
it's for both of them, fine. All right.
I mean, ma'am, is it
Alderman
our
Hobbs.
table to a date certain of the next meeting, or
That's a good idea. Why don't you amend it? Yeah.
but
Should I
Tabled.
speak to that, or should I?
Such a positive.
Go right ahead, be a parliamentarian.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, the matters, resolution, and the ordinance are currently remain on the table. They have not been moved to be taken from the table. They just remain there. I believe staff will keep them on the agenda, and at the next council meeting, if a motion is made to take both matters from the table, they can be taken from the table and acted upon then.
That's true.
Does that satisfy everyone? All right. That concludes your report, Alderman Rainey?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, moving right along. We are at call of the wards. Alderman Wilson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be having a ward meeting this Wednesday, the 16th, 7:30 p.m., and thanks to the YMCA for hosting the location. That's at 1000 Grove Street in Evanston, 7:30 until 9 p.m. I believe we will have Suzette Eggleston and Chief Kleiber will be present, and I believe Marty Lyons will be there as well from the city manager's office. to answer questions and discuss streets and sanitations, life safety, and other items. In addition, I would just encourage everyone to entertain attending the Evanston Dance Ensemble's presentation of a dance program called The Body of Work. It's advertised all over town, and I had the opportunity to see that this weekend. Wonderful show, very artistic, and a lot of our young people in Evanston are part of that show, so I encourage everyone to attend that. It's this weekend at Northwestern's campus.
Thank you. Alderman Holmes?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to first say welcome to Second Ward Alderman Peter Braithwaite. We're excited to have you. And also I want to say welcome to the new business of Shrimp Max on Emerson Street, and we're looking forward to letting you all know when there's going to be a grand opening of that, and I want to thank each one of you all for voting. We really need to do a lot of economic development in the Fifth Ward, and so we're really excited, and I appreciate your support. And we will have the regular Fifth Ward meeting this coming Thursday, which is March 17th at 7 o'clock at Fleetwood. And we will be having all of the school board candidates for both District 65 and 202. So if you haven't had a chance to hear them, see them, come on out to the Fifth Ward meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Tandem?
I just want to say welcome to Alderman Braithwaite. And to just let you know that last bit of agenda item was staged for your benefit to see if you would dare running from this room. Congratulations and welcome to council.
Thank you. Alderman Rainey?
Well, Peter Braithwaite comes from the fighting grade 8, so he, that was his previous residence. And I want to welcome you, Peter, and I remember standing right here watching you at that podium when you came to support the establishment of the Howard Street TIF. And you've seen what's happened since then, the 415 Howard building. I mean, that was an example of what can come from vision of people in the community to establish a TIF. So I welcome you to the council. I know you're going to be fabulous. You've got a great family, and welcome.
Thank you. Alderman Burris?
Again, a row of welcomes. Glad you're on council, and hopefully we'll all get to know each other and have a new dynamic here with you. So we're looking forward to it. Thanks for agreeing. Did you twist your arm?
Thank you. Alderman Fisk?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. And Peter, welcome to you. This is going to be very, very nice to have you between Alderman Nguyen and myself, so welcome. I would also like to let you all know that I'm bringing up this next point in Call of the Ward, so not to discourage or even appear to discourage any citizens who were approved this evening to serve on the Mayor's Wind Farm Committee. I would personally like to encourage the Mayor to consider expanding the committee to include all Evanston residents who applied and expressed their eagerness to serve. Unfortunately, the list we approved this evening excluded some residents who had submitted their applications but were not selected, and some of those include experts in the field, including, in some cases, those with expertise specific to the economic benefits related to wind power, some community leaders, and teachers as well. So in any case, I hope the Mayor will extend the invitation to all citizens who wish to observe and participate in the process, as she has promised me that she would do so. Thank you.
Everyone is welcome to observe. Alderman Braithwaite?
Thank you very much to the council for making me feel very welcome to my first meeting. Thank you very much again, Mayor Tisdall, and again to the city manager and the staff for helping to get me up to speed. April 14th is going to be our first Super Ward meeting. Give me an opportunity to meet with everyone from the Second Ward, and that's going to be again April 14th, starting at 7 o'clock at the Levy Center. And between now and then, I will be attending and hosting a number of meetings in the ward just to get up to speed with my residents and what their issues are, as well as the members of the business community in the Second Ward. And again, looking forward to serving on the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Nguyen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also welcome Alderman Braithwaite. During our conversation, I learned that he
grew up several doors down from Dennis Drummer's old business office. So I think that this is very fitting that he is sitting here in the former seat of Dennis Drummer. And I look forward to working with you, and I'll say what I'm sure was always said to each of us, but how brave you are to do this. So it was always frightening to me when people said that, but it's a wonderful position, so welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Holmes?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I forgot something. I wanted to make a reference to the staff in terms of the farmers market ordinance. I've had several requests from people who would like to do baked goods and things at the farmers market, and the ordinance really restricts it to 3 bakeries. And so I'd like for the staff to really look at that ordinance and see if we couldn't get a revision in terms of that.
Alderman Holmes, would you like that to come to the next Human Services
Oh,
Committee?
I'm sorry, yes, I told you I had CRS. Wally. Yes, to the next Human Services Committee would be great, which will be on the 11th of April.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Holmes. That was on my list also. Thank you.
Well, congratulations. We are getting out of here early, I hope.
As we always do.
Yes, as we always do. This is completely normal, Peter.
Showing out for you tonight.
We are on our very best behavior. I hope you are impressed. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Second. No.
No executive session.
No, we didn't know we'd get through this quickly. No.
No, there is no executive session.
No, there's no executive session.
My family's going to think someone's breaking into the house.
City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Wilson?
Aye.
Alderman Holmes? Alderman Tendem? Alderman Rainey? Alderman Burris? Alderman Fisk? Alderman Braithwaite? Alderman Nguyen? 8-0.
The motion passes. We are adjourned.